David Chino Reeves. The 28-year-old professional poker player from Los Angeles, California, is as good a poker player as you'll ever find. In November 2008, he finished in 7th place at the 2008 World Series of Poker main event, cashing for almost $1.8 million US. Reem won the World Poker Tour Season 7 Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond World Poker Classic, where he outlasted 497 of the world's finest players to claim first place and win over $1.5 million. Let's be honest for a second. We've all faked it at one point in our lives, right? Well, if done correctly, it can mean the difference between winning and losing a hand. And joining me to discuss the importance of bluffing is no other than one of the top respected players today in the poker world. He's the winner of the WPT Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond Classic and a finalist at the WSOP. And get this, he's won over $3.2 million in a month. I have with me $1 million man right here, Mr. David Chino Reeves. So I'm going to talk to you about something really important, something that I don't like to have to do. It's not something a girl wants to do, it's faking it, right? Nobody wants to do that. So in poker though, it's actually important. So I'm wondering, when is, in a tournament situation, when is the right time to bluff?
Well, for me personally, I like to bluff more in a later stage of a tournament. In the beginning of a tournament, I just sit there and try to play tight. There's no antes involved and whatnot. Once you get into the later levels, there's antes involved and the pots become bigger. So for me, I tend to try to bluff more in later stages of the tournament because that's when the pots mean. If you win a small pot in the early stages of the tournament, you're picking up some chips, but not really a lot. So for me, I like to bluff when there's more value, when it's worth more money to me.
Okay, so it's not really worth your the chance to bluff at an early.
Well, right. If you play a tournament, anyone who plays a tournament, they understand you can't win the tournament, you know, in the first level. Yeah. It's going to take a while, and so if you try to win all the chips in level 1, you know, you're gonna have a real hard time at winning. So you might as well just sit back and be patient, let nature take its course, let people bust out and whatnot, and you know, just pick good times to bluff.
You only fake it when you really need to towards
right.
the end.
That's right.
All right. So how exactly do you bluff? I mean, do you throw all your chips in? Like, how do you do it in a way that you can actually be successful?
Well, there's many different ways to bluff someone off of a hand in poker, but for me personally, I tend to bluff when I sense weakness out of an opponent. When I think the opponent is you know, weak and doesn't have a strong hand, I try to use my instincts to the best of my ability and, you know, take advantage of that. And that's when I put in a raise, or that's when I go on and you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. Which leads me to my next question. Well, what happens when you get caught? I mean, like, do you lose the respect of the other people at the table? I mean, do you have to watch out in the next hand?
Well, for me, if I get caught bluffing, you know, it's part of the game. It's poker. For me, I'm sort of used to it because I bluff a lot.
Do you?
If I get caught, you know, you just have to keep your poker manners at the table, keep your etiquette, and just say nice hand, good call, and just, you know, move on to the next hand.
Okay. So dangers and benefits, you'd say, of bluffing in a tournament situation. I mean, obviously, yeah, you get caught, you could lose your chips, but
right.
Any other?
Well, I think the biggest danger or biggest negative effect that it has on you when you get caught bluffing is that, for one, you lose credibility as being a solid player. So now when people see that you bluff, they understand you're capable of making moves, so you might not always have the best hand. So, you know, they're going to tend to call you more. But if they look at you and they say you play tight, and they see every time you get called you flip over a good hand, then people aren't going to want to play against you. But when you bluff, they're going to want to try to pick you off.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the negative effects. But the good effects, obviously, is if you show someone a bluff and they folded the best hand, you obviously can put them on serious tilt, and it can affect their game mentally. And that's when you try to take advantage of, you know, a player who's on tilt. You try to, like, you know, milk them for the most of their chips. And, you know, things like that. And also, you win the pot. You know, when you're winning the pot, that gives you a good confidence booster, and you feel good about yourself, and you're doing what you have to do in order to win the tournament.
Great. Well, thank you so much on giving me tips on how to fake it, and now I know how you fake it. So here you go. That was tips from David Chino Reeves on how to fake it.